This is the book of Corinthians chapter 2. I'm going to go straight to the point, and it reads Corinthians chapter 2 Corinthians, Salakia, 2 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 11. Least Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. I'm going to reread that in the NLT, and it says, so that Satan will not outsmart us, for we are familiar with his for we are familiar with his evil schemes. I want to start off by giving all praises, all honor, and all glory to Allah, Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushai, Hashem, Kodash, double honors to the elders, to the apostles that taught me this truth, peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth. Mission is with sincerity as well as risk of our lives, and the freedom to do so now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and the Aqua that they're listening and learning, Lord willingly, this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, for whom subscribe to this truth to you. Say shalom. It's brother Yahweh coming at you with another lesson through the Spirit and through the power of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai. This lesson is inspired. I was just pretty much like, well, truth be told, I wasn't even scrolling. I got another new, my phone that I pay through, who I have my service through, my telephone service, or my phone service, they have a news, like they little version of the news on their phone and they app and their, site or whatever. And they be coming out with some articles. And I went to go try to look at the article and it wouldn't work. So I looked it up through the Spirit on like Yahoo and it popped right up. And the Spirit dealing, you can see, this devil's moves are telegraphed because we got what the elder brother say? He said we got the technique, we got the intuition, we got the cheat code, we got the holy scriptures. Our book tells us and forewarns us of the things that come. The scriptures tell you in the book of Isaiah chapter 46, declaring the end from the beginning, So everything that's going to come to pass as far as, that's how we know what time we're in. And, not to be sounding boastful or proud, but, the things that's taking place. I heard one day I was walking down the street, I heard Jake like, he be knowing shit he knew before. You know what I mean? Not gloating. What I'm saying is these people going to really feel fucking stupid when, this devil really unleash holy, pandemonium. I was listening to the elder brother from the West, and he was going into like Jake so like plumb like goofy, this devil's presenting something in one way. I mean, I don't know, again, discernment is a certain thing, and I've made bad choices and in the world and in the truth. But discernment is a blessing from the Lord, and you should be able to discern the times. What's that? I'm gonna get that real quick. What's that? So I'm kind of rambling, but I'm not trying to make this that long. Probably like 15, 20 minutes. Matthew chapter 16 is one of my favorite scriptures because this is Yahweh shot. Look at that, I'm like goofy. This is Matthew chapter 6 and verse 16. The Pharisees also with the Sadducees came and tempting desired him that he would show them a sign from heaven. Yahweh Shah was pretty much plagued by the Pharisees and Sadducees, pretty much trying to trip him up and, doubting him and trying to prove that he wasn't who he claimed he was. But, at the end of the day, after the fact, I'm sure they realized it, to their detriment, It's a lot of judgment. You could feel it too. You could feel it. You got that vision, so you could see it. In your mind's eye, but you can really feel it. You know what I mean? The word empathize is to be like to feel a person's pain. You may have never been homeless, but you can see a motherfucker taking a beating, so you empathize, which is spiritual within itself, because that's sincerity. People do shit that out of their character because you could sympathize or empathize or relate or just feel totally bad for that person. You know what I mean? Matthew chapter 16 and verse 1. The Pharisees also with the Sadducees came and tempting desired him that he would show them a sign from heaven. Verse 2. He answered and said unto them, when it is evening, ye say, it will be fair weather, for the sky is red. Verse 3. And in the morning it will be foul weather today, for the sky is red and lowering. O ye hypocrites, ye can discern the face of the sky, but can ye not discern the signs of the times? And the scriptures tell you, it will be particular things going on in the last days. You got Luke chapter 21, I want to say Matthew chapter 24. What else? I forgot where is that in Mark. Verse 4. A wicked and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, and there shall no sign be given unto it but the sign of the prophet Jonas. And he left them and departed. And ultimately, that's what you're seeing today. Jonas was told to go and preach to Nineveh, and pretty much, we're coming in that spirit because we're told to come out on the highways and hedges, his commandment by Yahushua Mashiach, our big brother, our Lord and Savior, who you can call Jesus Christ. To, I believe that's Luke chapter 14, out on the highways and hedges. Scriptures talk about bid them on to the marriage, the marriage supper, because the believers are likened unto Yahushua's bride, and pretty much we're going to have to beg and plead and call out for Yahushua to come deliver us from this evil man. That's the spirit, because the brother just did a video talking about deliver us from this evil, wicked man. And that's the spirit lately. I watched the elder brother, let's lock it at, the beloved elder apostle, do a video. I forgot what the name of it was. I think he went into the Hunger Games, because this Donald Trump is trying to make it real life, Hunger Games in real life. And these people don't even see none of it. And it's funny and it's terrifying too. And that's why you really I understand the significance now of why you want to be around a brother. Scriptures talk about two are made for adversity, or a brother is made for adversity. And the world is about to be, this place is about to be completely averse to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. But that's his will. So he can judge this fucking place. I was listening to something the elder said, and I was thinking about, just me speaking offended somebody. And then he made a statement. And I know you don't listen to my videos. You know what I mean? That'd be the spirit. You know what I mean? Jacob say something that's so close to me, and you be like, damn, is he listening to me? But hey, a busy, important man like that ain't listening to me. I'm a peon, insignificant. The Lord have just put me in certain situations. Like, again, I realized that I wouldn't have made it through anything without the Lord. But Salaki, my mind would be all over the place. But Lord willingly, I'm still making some sense. But he said pretty much, these spirits on this earth is going to be upset because they're going to, we condemn the whole planet. How the spirits used to get agitated by Yahushua. Have you come before the time and whatnot? You know what I mean? So yeah, these people get agitated. I was listening to a brother sit up there. He said he went into the grocery store and Jake just seen him, looked at him, and took off. I had something like that happen to me with an Edomite right before. Motherfucker just saw me, just took off, start running into the motherfucking aisles, the aisle, shelves and shit. I'm like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? It ain't like he was annoyed at Jake, because he in a grocery store where it ain't nothing but Jake. It was like his spirit saw my spirit. It was deep. We ain't seen nothing yet. But Salaki, I'm running off at the mouth. So for 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 11, it says, for that word devices, it says,
Strong's G 3540, Naima.
It says a mental perception, thought, an evil purpose. So it's an evil plan, an evil thought that these devils came up with. This NWO, pretty much all these different countries are in league. I'm about to, Lord willingly, the Lord put the spirit on me. I'm about to research, because I was watching this particular guy, and pretty much DJ Trump just was traveling, and he's been making deals. He's been, trying to keep the American economy going, because they about to bring forth the system. And that's why he is the most pro-crypto president ever, because he's going to be the one that's going to usher that shit in. That's why you got this Project Stargate and all this shit. You know what I mean? Like, this is it. You know what I mean? I can't tell you exactly when, but you got to think about it. These people throw money whatever the fuck they want. Have you ever seen construction? Think about this. Have you ever seen construction? Like, I've seen construction. You see a building been working on at the beginning of the year. By the end of the year, that bitch almost done. So this is not going to take that long like people think. I ain't saying it's going to be this year, next year, but I do know it could be very well before his term is up. And then he's already, flirting with the idea of a third term. So if he does a third term, that means, pretty much he's a dictator. It says that which thinks the mind, thoughts, and purposes. And this NWO, or this beast system, is pretty much a evil plan, a plot. Um, Micah chapter 2 and verse 1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it's in the power, because it is in the power of their hand. It says to devise. Let's look at that word devise.
Strong's H 2803. Chashav. Chashav.
It says to think, plan, esteem, calculate, invent, make a judgment, imagine, count. To think, account, to plan, to devise, mean, to charge, to devise. They devise wickedness on their beds. So, the scriptures talk about they pretty much don't are not at ease unless they get something to fall, roughly paraphrase. To esteem, value, regard, to invent, to be accounted, be thought, be esteemed, to be computed, be reckoned, to be imputed. And we all are pretty much accounted for, in the system they trying to put in. That's why you got that FEMA list. You're going to have some that's going to pretty much be undesirables that they're going to try to take out. You're going to have some that pretty much is going to be, they're going to try to re-educate, and you're going to have some that's pretty much just lost in the sauce and love Babylon the Great. And I could think of a multitude of people. I could think of family members and all. That's why I stay far away from family members. Or my carnal family. Verse 2, and they covet fields and take them by violence. So when you go into the word covet, it's who did that.
Strong's H 2530. Chamad. Chamad.
Says to desire, covet, take pleasure in, delight in, to desire, to be desirable, to delight greatly, desire greatly, desirableness, preciousness, like Lord of the Rings, the precious. But and that's how the devil's spirit is. Think about it. When he got here, pretty much Christopher Colon, or Cristobal Colon, not Christopher Columbus because his real name was Cristobal Colon. This is how much this place is found no fucking lies. This place is. Anyhow, that's why the Lord gonna judge this bitch how she deserved to be judged. You know what you do to a whore? You know what I mean? The Bible say that you burn a preacher or a priestess daughter if she's a harlot. The scriptures say you're supposed to burn her. And this place is pretty much put on the facade of being this righteous ass place. And then you got the men of the Lord, the prophets in this place condemning it. So yeah, this place got to be burnt with fire. Because ultimately the elder said this is an altar. And this is going to be a huge sacrifice. What's that? Isaiah, it talks about a sacrifice in Basra. Basra is the capital city of ancient Edom. And you probably could look at that, liken that onto Babylon the Great today, maybe, because the major judgment is going to happen in this place. It says, and they covet field and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. What did they do to Gad and Reuben? They took the land by force. That's why Numbers chapter 35 talks about only the way to pretty much sanctify the land or pretty much cleanse the land is by pretty much the blood of those that spilt blood here. And that's the Lord doing an eye for an eye, which is righteous. And they covet fields and take them by violence and houses. This place is so unrighteous. Think about it. A man can work his life off to get what he gets and then marries a gold digging. Yeah, I was watching a video. I was going to do a video on it yesterday. Show you how nasty and fucked up these hoes is. And that's why, my mindset was the way it was. But I was watching a dude. He sleep over the bitch house. They got, and the thing is, most people laughed at it and thought it was cute. Like, the demon, you couldn't see what she was, but this bitch was a black spirited bitch. She taught the baby how to steal this man money. So any nigga that probably came over there, she had him stealing from him. Like, the nigga fell asleep sitting up, the baby going on in his pocket, and she like, give it to me. Like she taught the baby how to do that shit. Now the thing is, like, what you gonna say? Cause he gonna ask like, where the fuck my money go? She can say I didn't do nothing and all that, but that, like I said again, and it made me think of like these women in that time of trouble. These hoes really done tore they say never burn your bridges. You know what I'm saying? Some of these women think that like this is the end all be all. You know what I mean? Not understanding like what you done really created. Like I said, like my demon just called me the other day. You know what I mean? Not to make this about me, but just showing you. I was like, bitch, you got to be on drugs. I ain't seen you in years, and you talking about just getting these kids. And then if you don't bring them back, I'm gonna be in trouble. Now, if it was the other way around, you would have never let me do it. But now because it's you, boo hoo, man, get the fuck out of here for some Babylonian shit anyway. You know what I mean? Fuck that bitch. Like for real. Like, cause like again, like may the Lord take out all these sluts, whores, prostitutes, demonic ass fucking women. Cause the Lord can't do nothing with them. You know, right now. You know what I mean? What the times you coming in? What you know what I mean? Like the fuck? You gonna be like a Book of Eli chick, just setting motherfuckers up? The Lord need to destroy that if it be the Lord's will. He says, so they oppress a man and his house, even a man his heritage. Verse 3, therefore thus saith the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahshua, behold, against this family do I devise an evil from which ye shall not remove your necks, neither shall ye go haughtily, for this time is evil. So, yeah, we in evil times. When you go into the word evil, it's a compound word, Eve meaning time, ill meaning bad. And with all this shit going on, the Northern Kingdom being persecuted, I forgot the name of the actual law, but this law he done put in place pretty much allowing, the police departments to pretty much be giving them like police immunity from prosecution. And then like I said, the elder brother from the West, he did the video talking about the FBI director and just pretty much it's a lot going on, and like I said, the thing is, you got all this technology. Like again, I brought up the smart lighting, like all this technology. They letting people get away with shit, you know. And I can say it's been like a decade since like the law really has been lax. But they got technology. They can let you think you getting away with something and come get you later. Why do you think like motherfuckers that be on Facebook, like it was some guys in Cleveland, some young dudes, YNs, and they pretty much the officer wasn't looking, but they pulling out blickies and pointing them at him. And the officer never seen. The officer take off. They upload the shit to Facebook or YouTube or something. They uploaded it though, and within like a couple of weeks, they done literally found out who the fuck they was. They went in their house, all that. So they don't need to necessarily do like some Columbo shit no more. I was the last time I was on a public bus, I was thinking, I was like, hold up, the bus got 12 cameras. What the fuck you need all these cameras for? Because they watching everything in their city, in their kingdom. And that's his whole plan is to pretty much try to surveillance the whole city, and any rebellions or uprisings he gonna just try and quell. Not realizing that this is all spiritual. Not realizing that this is ultimately the will of the Lord, that he put on his spirit on, he put his will on your spirit. So you can try to bring something to fruition that's ultimately gonna get you judged. So this is the article. I don't know if I'm gonna read the whole thing. It says a U.S. citizen with real ID handcuffed and held in immigration raid before being released. Now the point I'm bringing this out is because elders were saying this. Like, I mean, a lot of brothers could see it, but the elder was saying this, like pretty much that visa exit, entry exit tracking system. Like this is what this real ID shit is, but it's ultimately probably gonna go into that CHIP. Not probably it is. I mean, they building the infrastructure for it right now. Everything is leaning towards that. And like the elder said, a lot of people gonna feel stupid in that day. You trying to basically buck up to the, and everything out of all the things that Jake say, what the mark is, the only thing that makes sense is this, the CHIP, the tiny technology. It says a U.S.-born citizen who was wrestled in the dirt, handcuffed, and detained in a vehicle as part of an immigration raid had a real ID on him that was dismissed as fake and the man's cousin. Video of the arrest aired by Notice Telemundo. And that's the spirit, because I was just listening to the elder say they was raiding, and pretty much, you had people that was U.S. citizens, people that was part of the, the services, fought for this country, and they were pretty much being detained and deported. And they was talking about it was fake. You know what I mean? Like, because pretty much those commands from up top said, yeah, we ain't trying to hear nothing. Get them and get their ass up out of here. You know what I mean? And that's the thing about government. Government is such a big monster. Once it's rolling, it's hard to get the motherfucker to stop. Once the wheels get to turning, it's hard to get it stopped. So, what I mean, like with these tariffs, yeah, they gonna slow down to a degree, but I've been hearing Jake sit up there and talk about the price of this, price of that. You know how you know that what we saying is the truth? Because you got individuals like we speak on it, then you got individuals that make a TikTok or a YouTube video just pouring out their heart. You know what I mean? You got people talking about, I mean, like the thing is, I suffer from depression. I have before I even came in the truth. So the thing is, you know, as the thing is what keeps me fighting is this hope, the light, you know what I mean? Yahweh Shai. These people ain't got nothing. So either they gonna take themselves out or they gonna literally like succumb to, that implantable microchip. It says video of the arrest aired by Noticias Telemundo show authorities grabbing Leonardo Garcia Venegas, 25, while at a job site in Foley, Alabama on Wednesday and bending his arm behind him. Someone off camera can be heard yelling, "He's a citizen." Garcia told that authorities took his ID from his wallet and told him it was fake before handcuffing him. Real ID is the identification U.S. citizens are required by law to have in order to travel through airports and enter federal buildings. It's considered a higher security form of identification. Apparently, a real ID is not valid anymore. He has a real ID. His cousin, Shalana Venegas, said, "We all made sure we had the real ID and went through the protocols the administration is asking for. He has his real ID, and then they see him, and I guess because his English isn't fluent and or because he's brown, it's fake, it's not real." Garcia had told Noticias Telemundo that they grabbed me real bad and the handcuffs were placed very hard on him. But I believe he was released. Sia said he was released from the vehicle where he was held after he gave the arresting officers his social security number, which showed he's a U.S. citizen. Hmm. Now, again, what I'm getting out of this, that's why it's a brotherhood, and iron sharpen iron, so brothers can have you see something from a different perspective. But the way that they worded this is pretty much how the real ID is what saved him. At first they said it was fake, but because he had this real ID along with the social security, because you have other individuals that show documentation and they didn't try to hear none of that shit. Like the one guy Garcia that they I think shipped to El Salvador. You know, I mean they say he was a U.S. citizen, so because he didn't have real ID. So, we all was basically pretty much in the spirit of realizing that this real ID is going to play a big part. That's the baby step to start off with everything else. Pretty much it's putting everybody in classes because if you adhering to what the government said, and that's why they said, we follow the government's or this administration's protocol. This administration wants you to have a real ID, and that's spiritual too, because they was talking about this shit back during COVID, 2020 type shit. I remember that because when they released us and allowed us to still like go take care of your business and whatnot. Well, I think you just had a curfew, but I remember I bought a car around that time because I was work. I ended up getting a job, and then I ended up I had to catch the bus up to that job, and then I ended up getting a car. The Lord blessed me with a car. And, I remember, you had to get they had set up that system where you would take a number at the DMV and all that, and pretty much it was saying that you had to get the real ID back then because by a certain time you wouldn't be able to enter these facilities. So pretty much, if you don't have this real ID, it's going to kind of ostracize you from particular things or participating in certain things in society. And pretty much, like I said, that real ID seems to have allowed him to pretty much escape that. Garcia said he was released. The arrest has left Garcia, who was born in Florida, shaken, particularly because the officers also arrested and detained his brother, who was not in the country legally. Vegas said she added that Garcia lived with his brother. Their parents are from Mexico. He was actually pretty short when he got back. Okay. She said that we've been trying to find a lawyer, but local ones have told them that it's nearly impossible to sue a federal agent. It's not clear from the video whether authorities were federal immigration. So pretty much, again, what I got out of this, he's going into pretty much he was roughed up and manhandled, and then, you know, it's inhumane what they're doing to our people. They're treating them as if they were murderers, he said. Venegas said that immigration arrests are creating repercussions among Hispanics, even among U.S. citizens, which is causing that great race divide. You know what I mean? The scriptures talk about in 2 Ezra chapter 15, one people shall find up, Salaki, one people shall stand up to fight against another with swords in their hands, which the modern day sword is a gun. So, you know, that's the first article I heard where pretty much this real ID pretty much was the get out of jail free card. So, you know, ultimately they want to put that real ID within your body. And that's where you get that C hip. This is the book of Revelation chapter 6, Revelation chapter 13 and verse 15, and reads, and he had power, who? Esau Edom, the so-called white man, had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Because the image is the way of life, the system, you know, the philosophy of this place, you know. Do as thou wilt, you know, or do, when in Rome, do as the Romans, you know. Verse 16, and he calls of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. Let's go into this word, mark.
Strong's G 5480. Charagma. Charagma.
It says a stamp and a printed mark. Of the mark stamped on the forehead of the right hand is the badge of the followers of the Antichrist. The mark branded upon horses, thing, carved, sculpture, graven work of idolatrous images. And when you keep on going through the roots, it'll go into Karax.
Strong's G 5482. Charax. Charax.
Which is a pale or a stake of palisade, pale between which earth, stone, trees, and timbers are heaped and packed together. And, you know, pretty much that Michael C. Hip is in the shape of a grain of rice or a palisade, which they want to inject in you. You know, it, like I said again, it's a punishment if you get this. And pretty much the whole earth is going to be presented with this. That's why you got the scripture, Revelation chapter 3, about the hour of temptation. And it's a judgment if you partake in this. This is Revelation chapter 14 and verse 9, and it reads, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast in his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, but ultimately it could be anywhere if he receives his mark. Verse 10, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. So ultimately, the Lord is going to deny you access to the, you know, that chariot, you know, the ships or the UAPs or the UFOs, you know, of Yasharallah, you know, the chariots of Israel, you know, because that's how we're going to be saved from the coming destruction. And if you partake in getting that system, you know, or being a part of the system and getting that mark, you are no longer, you know, a creation of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. Because ultimately, you know, like they said, people that took that jump shot, you know, and it's so crazy because now they're talking about these different companies that came up with that shit is actually coming and being forthcoming about the different side effects of, you know, that those injections, you know, talking about cardiac failure and all this different shit, but you force people to get it. This man is the fucking devil. And like I said, I felt that brother spirit when he said it. He made a video titled, Lord, please deliver us from this evil, wicked fucking man. I mean, just like I said, that whole poem about the snake, and then to be unleashing this, and like the elder said, and then to be unleashing this, you know, I'm talking about some snake ass shit, and then like the elder said, you got Jake that don't even realize you the target, even if you're not trying to be. like the elder said, it's not about really policing the neighborhood. It's about they about to get all you niggas in order. And like he said, ultimately you gonna need Yahweh Shem Yahshua with you, because if you ain't got Yahweh Shem Yahshua with you, it's gonna be like that brother's vision. Death angel just jumping from table to table, house to house, So if you're so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, Seminole, Indian, West Indian, or Haitian, I implore you to come back to the laws, statutes, and commandments of your power, whose true name in the Paleo Hebrew is Yahweh by Hashem Yahshua, or you will be destroyed. And with that, I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory to call Elohim La Yahweh by Hashem Yahshua, by Hashem Kodash, Kodash. Double honors to the elders and to the apostles that taught me this truth. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and the Akwat that are listening and learning. Lord, willingly, this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, but subscribing to this truth to you. Say shalom. Till next time, Lord, willingly, shalom, shalom. Kwam Yasharallah and Muwath Lababal.